Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 1234. That would be 1234. That'll never happen again, will it? August the 29th, 2020, Saturday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, so I've been reading in the comment section in the last couple of days, and I know there's extreme amount of concern out there. Yes, I'm quite aware of what's going on. I just want to let everyone know not to get yourself too worked up over this. That tomorrow is grocery day for me, and I will be resolving the issue that many of you are struggling very mightily with right now, and that is the loss of one of my candles. It burned out prematurely. It shouldn't have. There was that much wax in the freaking candle. Must have been a bad wick. Which, you don't expect a bad wick in a Yankee candle. They're kind of expensive, you know what I mean? And many of you have pointed out that throughout 1,230 some odd videos, never a candle failure. Never a candle failure. But we finally had one. And I realize the last 2 or 3 days with only one candle burning, many of you are struggling. I just want to let you know that Saturday is grocery day for me. So I will be getting that candle taken care of on Saturday. So you can expect on Sunday's video, there will be a second candle burning. Just hold on. You know, if you need to medicate or meditate or anything like that to try to get control of your emotions, to maybe relax yourself a little bit, that's what I recommend. Just hang in there, folks. Just hang in there. Another 24 hours, the candle controversy will be solved, and we'll be back to a dual candle backlighting. And so hopefully that'll bring some comfort to those of you who are really struggling with the single candle issue. Now, let's get on to some less serious topics. Let's pick up where we left off yesterday with Paul Sperry. Sperry. We're now learning from Paul Sperry that in late February 2018, in that briefing to the Senate Intelligence Committee by Bill Priestep, the one where he told him that everything was on the up and up with the Steele dossier and Steele's source, the one that Lindsey Graham is suggesting should put someone in jail. Well, we're now learning that that briefing that Bill Priestep gave in February 2018 to the Senate Intelligence Committee, that prior to the briefing, Priestep had demanded that the Senate staffers not translate his briefing. And of course we know in that briefing, Priestep claimed that Danchenko affirmed everything in the dossier and that Priestep himself had no significant concerns with Steele's reports. Uh-oh. Yeah, Lindsey Graham isn't right very often, but he is right about this. That should land Priestep in jail today. Should have been yesterday or last week or last month, or as soon as this was discovered. Horowitz, Huckleberry Horowitz, had to have seen this. Huckleberry left a lot of things out of his IG report, did he not? So here we have Priestep briefing the Senate Intelligence Committee, literally lying right to their face. And now we know why he demanded that the Senate staffers not translate that briefing. But obviously someone did, because Horowitz actually discovered it, but he didn't put it in his report. Yep, that's right. It was Horowitz who discovered it. Lindsey Graham told you that. Remember, we have to thank Inspector General Huckleberry Horowitz for finding that document. Yeah, Lindsey, he found the document, but he didn't put it in the report. How many other damning things did Huckleberry find that he did not put in his report? Oh, I'm thinking there's a lot. So yes, Priestep goes, testifies, says he demands that they not transcribe the briefing, but they did anyway. Horowitz finds this transcript, but buries it and doesn't put it in the IG report. Then all of a sudden, it surfaces. Lindsey Graham gets a hold of it and goes on Maria Bartiromo's show to tell her all about it. Now, he apparently is waiting to receive the hard copy of that briefing, however many pages it is, which he says told Maria Bartiromo he was going to turn over directly to Durham. And then, of course, in that briefing, Priestep told the Senate Intelligence Committee that Danchenko affirmed everything in the dossier. Straight up lie. So why isn't Priestep being arrested, charged? Roger Stone was. This equal justice under the law thing's not working out very well for me. How about you? Attorney General Barr. Equal justice under the law seems to be a big deal to him. I'm not seeing very much of it. And he also told the Senate Intelligence Committee he had no concerns whatsoever with Steele's reports. This was February of 2018. February of 2018. By which time they know that the whole that Michael Flynn had long ago been cleared and had done nothing wrong. That Carter Page was actually a CIA asset and not a Russian spy. They knew by that point that the dossier was paid for by the rotten reverend. They knew by that time that Steele had been turned out to have been a liar. They knew by that time that Iggy couldn't back up any of the things that were in Steele's dossier. I mean, this is just, how the hell Priestep is walking around a free man right now is just beyond me. This is such a blatant lie, and it's an important blatant lie. Because just like in every other case, whenever there was a challenge or a question by someone about the so-called intelligence, they lied every damn time, which is what allowed everything to continue. And why did they have to lie? They had to lie because if they came out and told the truth, bam, the Mueller investigation would have been shut down because all the evidence that they were using had been collected on fraudulent intelligence. And everything that Mueller was pursuing would have been stopped dead in its tracks. And the thing would have been blown up right there, and a lot of people along with it. They had no choice to lie, and this tells you that this was a systematic campaign of lies. The Senate Intelligence Committee had to know that they were being lied to by Priestep, to pretend that Priestep goes in and lies to these guys in February of 2018. By that time, every guy on the Senate Intelligence Committee knew about all these things, about Steele, and about all these other things. They'd seen that stuff. Burr and Warner had certainly seen it. Adam the Bug-Eyed Fool had seen it. There's a lot of people in on this scam, brother. Which is why maybe we're seeing such reluctance by Attorney General Barr to blow the whistle on the perps. Because that would require blowing the whistle on not just the FBI, the CIA, foreign governments, private contractors, the Clinton campaign, the Democrats, but freaking half the Congress. We're in on this scam. Priestep lied to them because he knew he could. Because they were in on it with him. The guys on the Senate Intelligence Committee, this was nothing more than a show hearing. And if anything else, it was not meant for Priestep to come and give factual information. It was purposely designed for Priestep to come and give supporting false information so that they continue to prop up the coup and the Mueller investigation and protect it and all their own asses right along with it. Because there's a lot of people in on this scam. That's how deep this corruption goes. And that's why we're not seeing much action. Because this is one of them deals, once you open up the, take this genie out of the bottle, you can't put her back in. And the number of people and the amount of damage it would be done, not just to the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, all the rest, but the Congress. There were many in the Congress who were involved in this. And that's what this exposes. And Lindsey Graham goes on Maria Bartiromo, well, Bree step out here, whoever did this, they need to go to jail. Yeah. So does everybody on the Intelligence Committee that knew about this back in the day and didn't say anything. It's not just the people who perpetrated this fraud and this coup. It's the number of people who were, to some degree, participants, but in many cases, spectators, members of Congress, who were helping the situation, helping to cover up. Man, oh man, this thing's hard to believe. It's much, much worse than I ever thought. When I first started following this story in March of 2017, I knew that there was some bad mojo going on here. But I never thought we'd see something like this. But now we understand, I think, why Attorney General Barr hasn't done much, and why he's trying to control this. Wow. Yeah, that's a big problem right now that we have, and that appears to be, to me, seems like the major reason why we're getting the feet dragging, the major reason why we're not seeing major arrests and charges and people getting search warrants served on them, and the FBI coming in to Clapper and Comey and Brennan and McCabe and coming in with agents to their homes and taking their hard drives and their files. We don't see search warrants being carried out. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that Barr realizes that this implicates a lot of people. Not just, he would probably like to contain it to about a handful of mid-level FBI agents like a Klein Smith and people like that, but he realizes he cannot contain this. And especially when you get people like McCabe and Comey and Strzok, these people are not just going to sit and take it, and they probably won't cop a plea deal. They got another deal. They got another deal. The deal they got is to simply look across the table at Durham's investigators and go, yeah, go ahead and indict me. Go ahead and indict me. Because I can personally testify the following people having intimate knowledge of everything we did. And there goes the list. And it's a long, long list of people. In other words, the get out of jail card that Comey and McCabe and Strzok and Page and Priestap and all these people have is that they can take down people who are too big to jail. That's the card they're playing. Yeah, come and arrest me. Go ahead. It's a Comey saying, go ahead, come and arrest me. I can give up Obama. Oh, I can give up Obama, and I can give up some Republicans, I can give up some Democrats, I can give up these guys and these guys. Oh, I can take a lot of people down with me. I'm little fish. Go ahead and indict me and see what happens. I'll sing like a bird on the witness stand. That is the card they're playing. It's the number of people and the positions they occupy and the power structure who they can take down, who knew everything they were doing. And we're assisting them. That's their get out of jail free card. They can take down people too big to jail. That's what Comey knows. That's what Strzok and McCabe and all the rest of these people know. Go ahead and charge me with a crime. Oh, I'm going to sing like a bird. I'm going to sit right there in front of a grand jury or in front of a jury trial, in my criminal trial, and I'm going to tell you all about the people who all knew exactly what we were doing, and in fact were directing what we were doing, ordering, as a matter of fact, what we were doing. Would you like their names? Some of them are McCain. Some are Graham. Some are Burr. You like that, Mr. Barr? Would you like some more? How about Bush? Would you like some more? There you go. Now you know where the hitch in the get-along is. Let's continue. We now know that it was Susan Rice who requested the December 29, 2016 Michael Flynn intercepts. Oh yes, it was Susan Rice who requested the December 29th, 2016 Michael Flynn intercepts. Do you remember when she was on PBS and told what's her name, Blondie, on PBS about 2.5 years ago or so? She didn't know anything about the investigations going on. Didn't know anything about that, or unmaskings, or FISAs, or anything. Didn't learn about it after she left the administration. Boy, is she a liar. So now that we know this, she should also be arrested and charged. Right now. They should be at her house right now, dragging her out in handcuffs. Is that happening? No. Why? Because she also is holding that card. Guess what I know? Guess what I know about who did what, and who knew all about what we were doing? The too big to jail crowd. That's how it works in the swamp. That's why they always get away with it. They're too big to jail. And if you are caught up in a crime that involves these people, like Mr. Wolf, you walk. Major, major felonies. Biggest crime of the century. You walk. We know that the chain of custody was that Susan Rice made the request. That document originated with this FBI agent named Brian Alton. A-U-T-E-N. Remember him? He then gave the intercept to McCabe, who passed it to Comey, who gave it to Clapper, who then gave it to Obama. And that's why Obama was in that January 5th meeting in the White House talking about it. And if Susan Rice was to ever be questioned, if she ever told the truth, which I think is nearly impossible that woman would ever tell the truth. I don't think she's a compulsive liar. Pathological liar. We would find out that the request came from Obama. And he said, Susan, get me the transcripts of Michael Flynn's phone calls with the Russian ambassador. And she said, yes, sir, Mr. President, will do. And we can see the chain of custody and where it ended up. Begin with Mr. Alton as a request by Susan Rice and ended up with Obama. Oh, sorry, Bill Barr has already said that Obama and Biden are off the table. Well, if they're off the table, then everybody's off the table, aren't they? Because if everyone under them can incriminate them, then they have to also be off the table. Anyone who can incriminate anyone above Kleinsmith, and probably even those below him or equal to him, they don't have to worry. Nothing to worry about. See how that works? That's why we're 1,234 days into this fiasco, and we ain't seen any justice. No justice. President Trump said, I may have to get involved. Guess what, Mr. President? You're going to have to get involved. Right after the election. Soon as the election's over. First, I do two things as soon as the election's over. As soon as Trump wins in a huge landslide, the day after the election, I do two things. I would invoke the Insurrection Act and clean up the mess. And then I would appoint a presidential commission. And I would stack it with all my friends, like Sidney Powell, Joe DeGeneva, his wife, John Solomon, Andy McCarthy. I can go down the list of about a dozen really good lawyers who I'd put on that commission. I would assign to them some U.S. attorneys who would be directed by the president to charge with crimes anyone who the commission found had committed them. And the commission would have full subpoena power, including into the NSB and the FSB, where all the dirty details are hidden. Well, are you ready for this one? This is another one that won't surprise you, but will piss you off. Now, we talk a lot about the late Senator Magoo and what a son of a bitch he was, and why he should be hanged and for treason. Dig him up out of the grave, throw a rope over a tree, and hang his ass. I don't care if he's going through rigor mortis or not. Post-death hangings are fine with me when it involves a traitor. Maybe this will shut that pig, Meghan McCain, up. Because if we ever get to the bottom of this and get to the truth, her daddy-o, Senator Magoo, was part of an effort excuse me, to carry out a coup on the president. Plain and simple. Treason, possibly, absolutely 100%, at the very least sedition. There's no defending Senator Magoo. Effing traitor. And of course his little right-hand man, Senator Magoo's bitch boy, David Kramer. We now know, we have some new information. We now know that David Kramer was feeding Steele's garbage to the media. Well, we suspected that for a long time. But now we have some actual emails. Here's one from David Kramer to Christopher Steele. Kramer to Steele, quote, "The Flynn story is picking up legs. I think it's time to get that other story out there." He's talking about the Paul Manafort story and the Black Ledger. And he says, "And David Ignatius is the one I'll feed it to. The Flynn story is picking up legs. I think it's time to get that out. Time to get that other story out there. And David Ignatius is the one I'll feed it to." Yes, as I told you probably better than a year and a half ago, maybe even farther than that. This goes way back, maybe early 2017, when we first honed in on Kramer and Ignatius. And I said way back then that when you look at the way the information was flowing and the types of things that Ignatius was writing, it's pretty clear that the game was, because remember, this was in a lot of ways, one huge part of this was a media campaign. And I said a couple times way back that it almost appears as if Ignatius was on the Hillary Clinton campaign team. It was almost as if Ignatius was being paid by the Hillary for America campaign. And it now looks like they were manufacturing fake evidence coming out of the Clinton campaign, feeding it to Steele through probably Confusion GPS and other sources, feeding it back in a loop to media people or to the Clinton campaign, or likely both, because I'm sure as they're feeding this to Ignatius, they're also feeding the Clinton campaign. Not that they need to, because that's where it originated. It was just one big feedback loop. Manufacturing the stuff, feeding it, and laundering it through the media. Laundering it through Steele, to the media, all on behalf of the Clinton campaign. It's almost like, she hires Christopher Steele, she hires Confusion GPS, they hire Steele, they feed Steele, Steele feeds his intermediary, people like back to Simpson, back to other people in the media, including guys like Kramer. Then they feed stuff into the media. Then that stuff gets pumped into the newspapers. Hillary Clinton was literally paying for her own Russian, anti-Trump Russian propaganda campaign against Trump. Manufacturing the dirt, using the intermediaries to pump it into the media, and then when the stories hit the media, then go out and tweet about it and wait for the media to write the stories, and then wait for the FBI to pick on those stories. Say, hey, based on that story, I guess we can launch an investigation. Rotten Reverend Clinton, the mastermind, planned, organized, directed, and controlled the whole plot. Do you think we'll ever get there? I figured this out a long time ago. But I think Hillary Clinton's untouchable. Untouchable. Why? Well, because when the Clintons were in the White House, one thing that they did was they got into a massive effort of data collection, collecting information on everybody with anybody who knew anybody who had any control over the levers of power in Washington. Banking people, political people, intelligence people, defense industry people, foreign diplomats, lobbyists. I mean, I understand that the files that they took out of the Clinton White House when they left took 2 semi-tractor trailers, and that they literally have warehouses where they have data stored, physical hard copies and vanilla file folders of dirt on damn near every person with any connection to power in D.C. there is. The Clintons' protection racket involves having so much dirt on so many people that they're untouchable. Hillary said it one time herself. I go down, I'm taking everybody down with me. You see how they protect themselves in this racket? This is how protection rackets work. They learned a lot from the mafia. I mean, they were working with them. Certainly would have learned a lot from them. I don't know who taught who. Did the mafia teach the Democratic Party and the FBI, or was it vice versa? Yes, our good friend David Kramer. It was like pulling teeth to get him in there to testify, and then when he did, he wouldn't answer any questions. They called him back 3 times. And he lied to them. Repeatedly. Why won't they touch David Kramer? What makes him so powerful? He can give up McCain. You see? All you need to get away with bloody murder in D.C. is the ability to take down a very powerful person. And if you try to take down that very powerful person, they have some dirt on someone even more powerful than they are. And that person has some dirt on a person that's even more powerful than they are. And that person has some dirt on someone who's even more powerful than they are. That's what keeps the whole family together. The shit that they know about each other. The evidence that they have on one another is what preserves them and sustains them. And that's why they're untouchable. That's why Attorney General Barr, his testicles are now about the size of raisins. Because he's realizing, if he didn't already know, that in order to get the people that were behind this coup, he has to be willing to sacrifice many in the very establishment that he exists in, the world that he lives in. Many people around him, probably longtime friends, part of the structure, because everybody's connected to everybody. It's almost like you can't take down. It's almost like if you imagine a situation where you have massive crimes, a criminal organization. You've got the goods on them, but you find out that one of them has some deal with your mother, and that they brought your mother into some crime. She may not even known about it. Whether she did or not, she's somehow implicated. And so if you try to take down this large criminal organization, they take down mama. Can't take down mama. That's where Barr finds himself right now. And that's why we're 1,234 days into this, and all they got's a little Kevin Kleinsmith. And all he got's a little hand slap. He won't do a day in jail. Doesn't matter who he gives up. They won't record those. They won't record those sessions. I promise you that. All they want to know is who do they have to protect. And Kevin Kleinsmith will probably, if he were to start dropping those types of names, he probably wouldn't last a day. Remember David Ferry? David Ferry, yes, he was going to cooperate. 2 FBI agents take him to a hotel. And they still got to him. They didn't get to anybody. They got to Epstein, didn't they? Tom Fitton has just received 323 more pages of emails from Peter's Been Stroking Us and Lisa Page. Once again, 323 more emails, which are devastating. Emails that we should have had years ago. These new emails have just been received, so Fitton's still going through them and researching them. So it's going to take him a couple of days, him and his investigators, to fully unearth everything that's in there and what it all means. But just some of the highlights are already coming out, and what we can expect over the next few days. We're going to find out from these new emails. These new emails show that the FBI was investigating Trump over his tweets about how the FBI was spying on his campaign and wiretapping him. You remember when Trump, in fact, that's what inspired me to make the first TowerGate video, is when Trump tweeted out, "Hey, I just found out Obama was spying on my campaign." 3 days later, I'm making TowerGate videos because I think there's something to it. Guess what they were doing at the FBI? Investigating Trump because of those tweets. They were acting too. I'm making videos, they're launching an investigation because of the Trump tweets. And they go into detail about the tweets they're specifically talking about. There's 4 or 5 tweets that Trump sent out about Obama spying on him, how he was wiretapped, is this illegal, guess what they were doing. It was 4 or 5 tweets over a period of about a couple of days, and based on those tweets, they ramped up a massive investigation into Trump over the tweets about his campaign being spied on. When investigating himself for spying on Trump because he's calling them out, because he knows what they did? Probably because of what Mike Rogers told him. These new emails also show that Comey had intimate involvement in the Carter Page FISA. These new emails show all the individuals caught up in these new emails are some familiar names and some new ones. Of course, we have Peter's Been Stroking Us, Lisa Page, Jimmy the Weasel Comey, and McCabe, Jonathan Maffa, Bill Priestep, Jim Rybicki, that was Comey's chief of staff, Carl Gaddis. Now, there's a name that we talked about a few times that you never hear because he was the head of the most secret department of the FBI that's so secret they don't even acknowledge it exists in most cases or even talk about it. It's called the FBI NSB, National Security Branch. Just like the DOJ NSD, that's where they hide all the evidence of the shit that they do that's illegal. That's where they bury all the stuff that's illegal. The DOJ and FBI have their own burial service, you might say, for the documents and evidence that would prove their guilt. The FBI, NSB, National Security Branch, Carl Gaddis runs that. No longer does. James Baker, Dina Corsi, and Michael Corton, who is, of course, the public relations guy who is pumping all the garbage to the media on behalf of the Crossfire Hurricane team as part of their media operations. These new emails show that Strzok and Maffa were worried about what would happen if it was discovered what they were doing. These new emails show that all the above were obsessed with Spygate stories in the media, particularly stories in The Guardian, The Washington Post, and The New York Times. We learned that the FBI counterintelligence met with media organizations to discuss their stories. New York Times, Washington Post, and Politico. And we learned that Comey's Twitter handle was Reinhold Niebuhr, Niebuhr. He was a prominent American Marxist and Protestant theologian. See ya.